Hey there, welcome back to All About Digital Marketing. Today we have a special guest, Tyler Narducci from the Done For You agency program. How's it going, Tyler?
It's going well. How about you?
It's going great. Thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So do you want to give us kind of a quick rundown about, what your business is and what you tend to do to help people, and we can kind of take a deeper dive from there?
Absolutely. I am a digital marketing agency owner myself. I started my own digital agency back in 2015. Grew that up from 2015 to uh, 2019 over the course of those 4 years. And then in 2019, I shifted to helping entrepreneurs basically do what I did, but faster than I did it, right? So I help digital marketing agency owners, online freelancers, digital marketers, and new agency owners launch and scale their digital agencies.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, agencies are such a wide field for people to be in. So I'm sure that you have kind of an
Yeah,
unlimited market, and especially with the the sort of feeling of the market changing right now. It's like people get kind of nervous about what to do next, or how to scale their agencies, or how to start an agency. It seems kind of like blue sky.
yeah. A lot of people will say, "Oh, it's saturated," but at the end of the day, like there are, so many millions of businesses out there, and they all need marketing. And in 2022, they all need digital marketing, right? So there's so much potential that the work never dries up, right? And there's not enough good agencies. I say good. There's not enough good agencies out there to meet the demand. And so, my mission really isn't to just crank out digital marketing agencies, but it's to make the industry better with good agencies that are providing great work that their clients love.
I think that's a really good point because I think a lot of people that have hired agencies, ourselves included, it seems like there's a lot of people that have a shingle out front that says they do X, Y, Z, but when you hire them, it doesn't always turn out the way that things are promised. And you know, uh, you and I happen to work together, right, for some stuff on the email side of things, and I'm sure you were skeptical even of our product, right? Like, does it do what it
Yeah.
says on the tin? And turning someone into a true believer is such a powerful thing. I'm always amazed that so many agencies exist that don't really seem to fulfill, like,
Yeah.
truly to the level that they're advertising. So how do you guys take a look at an agency and try to help them understand, like, is this something that you can actually fulfill? Do you reposition stuff? Do you try to help them be better at what they do? I mean, like, what is involved there, and how do you sort of sort through that? Because it seems like that would be kind of a tough filter. Everyone says they do amazing stuff, but how do you actually get there or make them, more reliable at their fulfillment potentially?
Totally. So the secret sauce really that goes into it, especially for a newer marketing agency owner, is linking up with fulfillment partners and contractors that aren't so new at this and really have their processes and their fulfillment down, right? So a path that a lot of newer agency owners get stuck on is, okay, I want to start my agency and I'll kind of do everything all at once. I'll wear all the hats. I'm going to be my own lead gen team. I'm going to be my own sales team. I'm going to do all my own client work and all my own fulfillment. I'm going to, close all the deals myself. And you very quickly burn out. And so one of the things that I help, the agency owners that join the Done For You agency program with is we partner them with expert fulfillment providers that they're not really interested in going out and getting the clients themselves. They're not interested in the sales section. They're not interested in getting and generating leads. They are just really good at Google ads, Facebook ads, SEO, web builds, or whatever their specific thing is. They're just
Doing the work.
amazing. Yeah, they're just amazing providers, right? And their pricing is really to be within our included in our pre-vetted contractor network for our agencies. Their pricing has to be great, meaning it's white labeled pricing so that the agency owner can make profit on it, and then the quality has to be really good as well. So we vet the contractors within our network for their quality and their pricing, and of course their experience. So they need to have lots of white labeled case studies, so these newer agency owners can step into the ring, use those case studies, have that experience, and then as soon as they land their first few contracts, they have the confidence in their sales process because they know their contractors can provide. And then this beautiful thing happens when the contractors and the agency provides, right? And they have a great client, and the client is happy. They refer that, that agency to their friends and family. They get more clients, and everyone is happy. So really, the secret sauce is don't try and do it yourself and learn on your clients. Partner up with people who are just really, really good at this and have already
I'm
been doing it.
I'm so happy to hear you say that because I can't count the number of times that I would see like, and I'm going to pick on a little bit like the ClickFunnels Facebook group is sort of notorious for this, where it's like, I just sold a $15,000 client on Facebook ads. How do I do Facebook ads? And it's like,
Yeah, and it's
please.
so
Yeah.
unethical. Like it is so unethical to sell, with the comp with, and giving this false pretense that you can provide and then trying to figure it out or learn on paying clients. It's just not right. And you don't have to do that, right? Like there are so many great white label providers. Now, I do understand that it is hard to find great white label partners that provide good work, come in at a good price, have case studies ready to go from day one. I realized that it will work with you on strategy and pitching your clients from, all through the sales process. I realized that that is a difficult thing to come by, which is why it's a pillar of my program, right? It's why it's one of the giant value propositions of my Done For You agency program. You don't have to go out there and endlessly look for contractors that you can know, love, and trust with your clients. We have that ready to go for our agencies.
Yeah, I would think that that's probably one of the biggest uphill battles, and that's how you get those situations where people are like, Guru XYZ told me you just go high ticket and you just,
Just
sell.
go high ticket. That's just like such a buzz line, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I see why it's positioned that way in the marketplace, right? Because you can understand, like, you can walk someone through the math, and it's like, it's almost as hard sometimes to sell $100 thing as it is to sell a $10,000 thing. And so you say if you want to acquire a customer, like, you have better margins, yada yada. Like, I see how that becomes a seductive thing for someone to look at. But if
Yeah.
you can't fill it, like, you're a fraud. So
Right, and you're just churning and burning through clients. Like you're not building long-lasting relationships that are going to help your agency grow. Like you're just constantly trying to replace the one you just lost because they weren't happy with the product.
And that's assuming you can sleep at night with the ethical part that we just talked about of the fact that you are selling something you can't actually fulfill. So,
100%. But at the same, like, I don't even know. Like, I've been in the digital marketing agency space, and like, there are a lot of players of all different ethics out there, and it's really sad. And like, that's why that part didn't even cross my mind. Like, there are a lot of people out there that can sleep at night, unfortunately, with that, right? And so, it's like maybe we should just, instead of pushing that angle, it's more like it's not good for your agency, it's not good for the client, it's not good for ethics. It just you shouldn't do it at all.
yeah, and then no one wants to be in a business that, like, every day you wake up, you feel like you're starting over.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't really make much sense. But if you can avoid all of that, like I said, by just linking up with contractors that you know are gonna do great work, uh, from day one, and just don't even try. Don't even like, if you're gonna be the agency owner, I always tell my clients that too. The agency owner is not the fulfillment provider. You're not your own ads team. And if you wanna be in ads, that's fine. That's great. It's a great line of work. If you wanna be in ads or you wanna be in web dev, but that's not the agency owner role. So if you want to have an agency, then you need to learn how to be a CEO. You need to learn how to be the boss, that manages the ads teams, that manages the sales team, that oversees the processes and operations, and looks at the bottom line, looks at your internal costs. That's the agency owner's role, not the ads manager's role. So it's kind of like just choosing the path that you actually want to go on.
Yeah, see, that brings up a really good point because I feel like a lot of people that they get into an agency, their motivation isn't that they want to run Facebook ads, right? It isn't that they want to do the insert widget here. It's and correct me if I'm wrong. This is your area that you work with, but, like, we end up with a lot of agencies and stuff using our software and stuff over the years, and it usually feels like people that want to do an agency want to do it because they enjoy the freedom that comes with, like, having some control over when they work, who they work with, that kind of thing. And then it also comes from just the desire to own and operate a business as more of a managerial role, right? That you've created for yourself, and as opposed to wanting to do every little, flip of the switch and whatever else for fulfillment, because that may not be where their passion is, even if it's something that they understand and they could be good at. It's
Yeah.
probably not the reason they started an agency in the first place. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
That's correct. I think you know, there's just a few paths you can take. Like many people, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. In fact, many of our actual white label providers and our pre-vetted contractor network are freelancers. They're amazing, incredible freelancers, right? And there's the freelancer path where you are going to you're not going to have a big operation. You're going to be capped at your own daily 24-hour max capacity that you can hold. um, you'll be able to pay your bills, you can have a nice life, you can have the freedom of not answering to anybody or going into an office, which is such a beautiful thing. Like, I at this stage of my life, I can't even fathom having to go back into a 9 to 5, right? And a freelancer path, you break free of all those chains that, the regular rat race that everyone's trying to escape. So it's an awesome path, but it has many, many limitations. But if you like the fulfillment, if you're not, super focused on growth, you're all right with paying your bills, you want the freedom, great path. If you want more, if you want more than that, that's not enough. If you do want growth, you do want to see, 6, 7 digit possible futures, then you're going to need to step out of fulfillment. You're going to need to step out of the freelancer role. And we work with a lot of digital marketing freelancers that are like, all right, I'm ready to step up in my business and get out from under it, because they feel like they're a little trapped there. And then we have to deal with a lot of, but no one can do it better than me. I'm doing it really well. And, these clients are really special to me and they're my bread and butter. And if I hire this person, they don't do so well, and so there's all those types of transitional things that we deal with a lot. Um, but yeah, it's kind of a two paths you have to take. Neither one's wrong, but they are very different.
Yeah, there's two things that stick out to me from that particular piece. One is, a freelancer is basically a job you have control over, as opposed to like a quote unquote business per se,
Business. Yeah.
right? Because a business is something that should be a sellable asset, in my opinion. Like it should have value to someone else. And I think it's easy, as someone who did this at one stage of my life for a brief period of time, to delude yourself as a freelancer that you are a business and a sellable asset. But no, you're a person, you're a hireable asset, but you're not a sellable one. And that's a very different delineation. And the second component about like, I totally understand. I think this is a general entrepreneur fear of like, no one can do XYZ as well as me, right? Like, so for me, that's like deliverability management, right? Like
Yeah.
making sure email absolutely pops and hits the inbox. Like I've spent a lot of time, money, hours, effort to create a
Yeah.
system that can do that. But like I still have this fear oftentimes of like, well, as someone, like I think you said your experience was like 20% to 60% open rates, right? It's like I have this fear
Yeah.
like if someone only got 20 to 50, are they not going to be as wowed? Like, are they not going to be as invested in the relationships? Like, no, dummy. But if you can do, 20 to 50 and you can do it for a million people instead of
Yeah.
a small subset, that's a more valuable thing. And so I think about like same is true of sales process or support or whatever. You don't need one person to replace your output necessarily. If you can get five people to do it half as well, you've still
Yeah.
increased your output, increased your success rate. And that's such a hard thing for entrepreneurs to let go of. I mean,
Huge.
you're down the path. You probably still struggle with it to some degree, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I actually, one thing that I did not personally let go of until, I would say, late last year. Um, so almost a year ago now is when I fully let go of it. But I mean, I had my agency since 2015, so I held on to this with a death grip, um, for 6 years. And I just started seeing, because my own attention was getting pulled in so many other directions, but I held its death grip on managing my own ads for my own agency, and the program as well. So we run a lot of ads for the program to get applications in, and have people booked in, to speak with us. And I've been running that myself for, as long as we've been around. And my attention was just getting pulled in so many different directions that the quality, the cost per lead, and was that going up and everything. And so I was just like, um, should have brought in a professional ads team. I literally teach this all day, every day, and I still had a death grip on it. And I finally let it go. Brought in an ads team, best thing I ever did. They've been amazing. They've done so well. And it was just one of those things that your ego is in the way, and you're like, nobody can do it better than me. So I know exactly how it is for a lot of agency owners, and I tell them, just fully expect a dip. Like if you're just ready for a dip in performance, but that it will pick back up, that they will get the hang of it, and they will eventually, if you hire the right person, be better than you were, then you understand that even if it is a dip, the time and freedom that you're giving yourself by stepping out of that process is going to allow you to grow the business so much faster.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect example. I'm so glad that you shared that story, because as you said, you taught that, right? And it's so often, the the term, it's like the cobbler's kids have no shoes, right? Because cobbler is a shoemaker. And
Yeah.
it's so often true. It's like it works. You do it day in and day out for everyone else, and it's similar to, like, when we have a problem in our business, it's really hard for us to look at it and come with a creative solution to get out of it. But you look at someone else's businesses, because you're looking at it from a fresh perspective, fresh eyes, it's glaringly obvious usually what the problem is, right?
Yeah.
And so trying to have that self-reflection is a big piece of it, and being able to let go, because that's where the growth happens, right? Because
Yeah.
you're letting someone else take over, and eventually, like you said, it should exceed. But and the other thing too is, I guess, setting expectations, right? Like if you expect a dip, anything above that is gravy.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, but like when you do kind of let go of the process, like not micromanaging them, like letting them kind of, really own the process and really own what you were doing, and allowing them that autonomy to be better than you were is really important.
For sure. So, since you tend to work with a lot of people, would you say it's fair to say it's a lot of freelancers that are trying to make that jump, or is it people that are looking to start an agency for the first time? Which one of those two cases is more common?
Um, we have a lot of freelancers that are looking to make that jump. We also have a lot of people. I mean, the three main people that we work with are going to be freelancers looking to make the jump, people who are starting out from scratch. They're like the online entrepreneurs that see the opportunity in the market. And then the third is existing digital agency owners that are stuck and they're not scaling. Their systems aren't down pat, so they need help, installing a more proven system to scale. Those are kind of the three core types we
Okay.
work with.
So, what 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 kind of decisions does, let's say, the freelancer have to make, or like what kind of questions and conclusions do they need to come to, where they say, "Yep, this is definitely, like, I'm ready to make the jump. Like, this tells me I should make the jump." What are those key questions that you would ask someone that was in that freelancer position? Because I assume it's not for everyone. Because, like you said, some people may really enjoy the full creative control, and they're happy with whatever ceiling they've found, because they're gonna find one, and that's not a slight. That's a natural evolution. What would you
Right.
tell someone to help them work through that? Should I or shouldn't I make that kind of next step?
Yeah. So first and foremost is, am I happy with my current growth? Right? Am I where I want to be right now? And if I'm not where I want to be, am I going to be there without some type of change in what we're doing? Right? Like I feel like in a lot of sales processes, you'll be talking to the client, and this is for agencies talking to their businesses that they're helping as well. Like across all sales processes, there will be this weird pushback from the prospect on, oh no, but I'm kind of good there, like I'm kind of good there, like I don't really need that. And then you're like, oh, you are okay, so why are we actually on this call, right? Because this is, most of them are inbound calls, like they knew there was a problem, that's why they saw your ad, they booked in to speak with you because there's a problem that needs to be solved, right? And then there's this natural gut thing that happens on calls where they push back and like, oh no, I'm okay. Are you sure you're okay? Why are we actually on this call then? What made you book in the call is a good place to go next in that process, to kind of dig a little bit deeper on that. But once you finally get to the point where, yes, I'm not happy where I am, I do want more growth, then in terms of my program, the next questions go into more of the big three. I call them our big three. So the big three things that we solve in the Done For You agency program are lead generation. So are you getting leads? And are they steady? Are they high ticket? Are they quality leads? That's the first question.
Yeah,
If
consistent and
not,
qualified are probably the biggest pain points,
yeah,
right?
consistent and qualified leads. Are you getting that? If you're not, okay, there's an issue that needs to be solved. One of the main things that we do is we install agency lead generation systems so that they can get consistent quality leads. Okay. The second one would be who's doing the fulfillment in your agency, right? And then that kind of goes back to our conversation earlier. Is it you? And do you know what you're doing? Or is it someone else? And how are they doing? Is the question. And oftentimes, if it's someone that's brand new, it's no one's doing it yet. And I didn't have the plan for that yet, right? So we may be talking to someone pre that ClickFunnels group post, right? Which is a great thing. If we can catch somebody before it gets to that point, then fantastic.
And to
And
be
then the
clear, I'm
third,
not trying to like totally tear anyone down about the group thing. I just see the same thing, and it's like, oh man, please, just
yeah,
keep it
no,
all
not
the
at
way
all.
through.
And in fact, I'm actually a huge ClickFunnels fan. I love ClickFunnels to death. But I get what you're talking about with like the entrepreneurial community. And then the third bucket. So we do lead generation, we do fulfillment with expert contractors, and our third bucket that we help people with is sales. If you're getting leads, if you are able to fulfill, are you converting your leads into deals? And if the answer is no, then we have another problem. If you can if all those three things are yes, happy with my growth, have plenty of leads, I'm fulfilling, and we're selling, then it's probably not a best fit for us. Like, you're doing good, keep it up, right? But if you're not, if one of those three things is not, a yes, then there's a problem in the system, and then our program can help out.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think it sort of boils down to the real thing. Like, do you have the systems in place to get growth if that's what you desire, right? Because if the
Right.
answer is you don't really want growth and you're happy, then like you said, like why you on the call kind of thing, right? Like keep rocking, keep doing you.
Yeah.
That's totally
Exactly.
fine. But if you're interested in growth, I totally agree. Those three things make a lot of sense on the pipeline. About if any one of those three things is broken, you're not
Then
going to
it
have
doesn't
growth.
work. Right. You have to have all three. If you don't, it's not going anywhere.
For sure. I'm sure there's all kinds of car analogies you could use about not having gas or being in the right gear or whatever.
Yeah, there's a million analogies, and it's really frustrating for a lot of agency owners because I've talked to agency owners across the whole spectrum. I've talked to agency owners who are incredible closers, like they could sell anything, but they don't have any leads. They have no one to sell to. It's a really sad story. Same thing with tons of leads, but can't sell anything to anyone. That's very common, as well. And then of course, no leads. There's
Yeah.
that's not going anywhere. So,
Yeah.
oh wait, no, there will
The
be
fulfillment.
no
Yeah.
fulfillment. Yeah. So, and then of course there would be, the one we talked about earlier where they're trying to do it themselves and it's not working out.
Because they don't have the skill set perhaps. And that's fine, but there's lots of people that do that, like you said, they aren't interested in the minutia of
Right.
the prospecting or the closing or the even necessarily the support. They want to do the thing, right? And they want to
Yeah.
get paid for it. Yeah. Okay. And then for the agencies that are looking to scale, I guess it's really still the same three questions. What is the most common thing that you think is stalling out an agency? Like where are they most commonly hitting a ceiling and not able to grow beyond a certain point?
Um, Generally, that those two stalling points are going to be on lead gen or fulfillment. Either they are, selling and they're getting leads, but like their team is maxed out and they're trying to hire and train, but they're not able to do that fast enough and also retain their help long enough for them to continually grow. And so that continues to be a big point for a lot of agencies. And then also on the lead gen side, if they do have access to more like expandable teams, quickly expandable teams like we have, then I find that a ton of agencies bang their head against the wall on lead gen, which is really ironic because one of the biggest things that agencies do for their clients is provide them leads, and you find a ton of agencies have big struggles on getting leads for themselves.
Right back to the cobbler's kids have no shoes all over
Yeah,
again.
yeah. So I would say the two biggest sell out points are going to be on fulfillment and lead generation as well.
Yeah, because I guess if you're at a certain level with an agency, you probably are pretty good at closing, right? Like
Yeah,
it usually just comes to bandwidth of the team or inflow. Just you need at
right,
bats.
right. And it's so sad when you see an agency that has a ton of like really qualified leads, but they just don't have the capacity to bring them on, and it's like, ugh, because you can close them, you have them, they want to join, and you cannot fulfill because you just don't have the capacity, right? I also see a lot of agencies that I personally find that they have set themselves up wrong. Like So my like tried and true way that I fully believe is the best way for an agency to grow, more grassroots style, is to partner up with contractors, white label fulfillment providers, and grow that way, because it gives you that expandable resource that you can give a per project to. And the beauty of it is you don't have to pay them until the client pays you. So they're
Hmm.
completely covered. There's no upfront costs, where some agencies, they try to do it in the same way that other business models are built outside of the agency world. So they want to hire an account manager, they want to hire an ads person, and they're
Mm-hmm.
paying salaries that they may not be able to pay yet because they don't have the clients yet. And then they're scrambling to close deals and get those leads in the door to pay for these assets that they, or sorry, assets, liabilities that they put in their business prematurely, right? So that's a problem too.
I mean, that's great if you're a VC funded startup, right? It's like you just want
Yeah,
to build for the growth that you think is going to come, right? Like Field of
right.
Dreams style.
Yeah. And but the beauty of the agency model is you don't have to do that. Like almost you can bootstrap this business model so well, and you don't have to pay people until you have the clients in place to pay for them. Now you do need to take the time out and either join a program like mine, who's going to give you access to these people so you can meet them, have the confidence, build your team out, and have them ready to go. Because I wouldn't recommend that you go out and sell a package and then scramble to go find that fulfillment team either. You need to
It
have those
might it
people in
might take too
place.
long. You
Yeah,
haven't have time to vet them, whatever. And then the person who paid you is like, dude, it's been 2 weeks. Have you even started?
exactly. Exactly. So you never want to be in that position either, even if you are following the white label path. You want to have those white label people in place, ready to go. I'll call you when we close the deal, right? I know what the pricing is. I know how the onboarding goes, and I'm ready to go from day one. Um, that's why, it's the first step, really.
Plus, you need to have an idea of what your costs are going to be up front so that you price it appropriately for the sale, right? Because if you think, oh, I'm pretty sure that someone will do this for, let's say, 2 grand and I can charge four, and then you go to have them do it and the real cost for five, well, oh.
And I've seen that, and it's wild to me. I'm like, why wouldn't you go just take the time? And people don't realize, like, these freelancers and the white label providers, they're more than happy to sit and talk with you, share their pricing, get, work partner with you, give you their case studies so that you can use them. Of course, not using the actual business names like their white labeled case studies, so that you can bring them work. Because what a sweet gig for them. They don't have to pay for any marketing. They don't have to close any leads. They don't have to generate any leads. They just get work coming from you. It's an amazing gig for them, right? So they're happy to sit with you and meet with you and partner up with you prior to you bringing in those leads. But you need to have that actual conversation.
Yeah, build out the framework.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and from the service provider's, point of view, like you said, it's a pretty sweet gig. It's basically cost of acquisition of zero, right? Because you're like, this is our price,
Yeah.
take it or leave it. And if you bring someone, you know what the price is. We're not here to haggle. It's just like this is the deal, and you should go with charge more than this.
One of the things, so one of the ways that we keep our pre-vetted contractor network for our agencies so strong is we're constantly recruiting and vetting people for it at all times. And we also take requests, like special requests from our actual agency members of, hey, I have this project, I need this type of freelancer or contractor, and they're not on the list. I found one, but I didn't really like their pricing, or whatever it is. We'll go out and recruit another one just to add more in that niche or whatever that they're looking for. So we'll take special requests from our actual agency members, but we also have a cold email campaign going out at all times, where we do a lot of cold email outreach. And our pitch in the cold email outreach is actually not for the program. Our pitch in our cold email outreach is to be a member of our pre-vetted network, and we target freelancers and digital marketers, and they respond positively in droves. It's a very successful cold email campaign, because if you're a digital marketer, SEO specialist, and you get an email that says, hey, we have a program where we would like, to vet you to possibly get a bunch of work from all of our agencies. Is that something you'd be interested in? And if we get a ton of positive responses from that, we vet them to go on the list. And then we also ask them, hey, now that you're on the list, you're going to get some white label work. Are you also interested in possibly starting your own agency and growing out a freelancer, the freelancer space? And that's also very successful as well. So it's like this really cool ecosystem that we're building up.
Yeah, that's fascinating because it's a two-sided marketplace, right? and
Yeah.
those are always interesting to me. So my my previous software platform was a contest platform called Contest Domination, which I actually just sold at the beginning of the month
Nice.
after a little over 11 years.
Wow.
And one of the case studies that we had there was a two-sided marketplace, and I always find it interesting how businesses fill that, right? Because you have very different constraints about how you acquire, say, a service provider versus, say, a buyer, right? And so, like this one in particular, it was a marketplace that matched wedding photographers with people that need wedding photographers, right? And so it's like, how do you find photographers? And like, there's a whole strategy there. They like casted a wide net. They actually gave away really nice cameras. They had them answer a questionnaire. What kind of photographer are you? Right?
Mhm.
I'm an amateur, intermediate, professional, and professional wedding. Right. And so then they could still monetize the other data, but then professional wedding would then get the pitch after entering
Mm.
about, hey, we actually have this marketplace where you can then get hooked up with people that are getting married, and then they'd run also contests about, enter to win, David's bridal gift cards and that kind of stuff. People that are in that because it's such a time sensitive thing, right? For them, it was like,
Yeah.
how do you match people that are getting married right now? Because as soon as they're married, it's game over, right? Like they don't need your services anymore. So it's just a very complex marketing problem, and it took a lot of scale to get it filled. And so those kind of problems have always stuck out to me as a really interesting thing. And I think your approach of saying, "Hey, we've got business we want to send you," is fantastic. um, I'm assuming you may have worked a little bit with Mike Mark on that, probably. I don't know, but
I actually told him about, I mean, yeah, we did talk.
okay,
We were working on that a little bit, and then I told him about the strategy. He loved the pitch. So it's been a really cool, it's been a really cool angle, rather than just like trying to sell your services up front. It goes back to what a lot of digital marketers and, the gurus talk about, which is leading with value, and, you know leading with, hey, I want to bring you work first, and then saying, hey, do you want to build more up, your own business even further second. It's a much smoother pitch than, just leading with, hey, do you want to join the program?
for sure. Yeah, I mean, I can't count the number of cold emails I got that it's like, I'm an XYZ developer and I would, love to do mobile development for you or something. And here's my prices. And it's like, I'm never in a million years going to respond to that. It's
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, at best, if we happen to be hiring, I say, here's a link, you can go apply for our coding test. But um, it's it's just delete, right? Because there's nothing there for value for me as a recipient about what does that do for my business. You're just basically saying, will you please pay me some money? Thanks.
Yeah. I had one pitch from, and I could tell he was a really young guy. Like he was young, but he was like super hungry, and he was a video editor, and he saw my ads, and he wanted to create for me a new ad, and he sent me a cold email where he pitched, the scene, the setting, how it would work, and everything, and I read through it, and he was just like, um and I'll only charge you like $300 for it. And so it was just like, it was really low, and he was going to use professional equipment. He just really wanted the foot in the door kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, okay, let's go for it. And it was one of the only times that I just responded back to a cold email. I was like, sure, show me what you got. Send me the invoice, and let's see it. And it turned out really good. I was really impressed. I'm like, wow, this kid really knows what he was doing. And I'll definitely, be giving him some more work, and building more video ads with him. But, you know, it's rare. It's rare that those come through.
Yeah, but but it has to grab you right at the beginning, right? And like he obviously had a compelling thing about what he wanted to do. Usually it's just like,
Yeah,
hey, I would
it
love to
wasn't a
make a video
canned
ad for
email.
you. It's $300. And it's no,
Yeah,
he like probably brought you through a whole storyline and you could visualize it and understand it, and he put effort into thinking it through, right? That's the
yeah,
thing that's usually missing from cold emails. It's there's no effort in thinking it through as far as how it's going to be useful, what it's going to look like, how it's going to be, and that it was customized, truly customized to you as the business that they're trying to pitch. That's such a missing piece.
yeah. I mean, you can do mass cold email, but if you're going to do mass cold email, you really need to have something that's going to grab people, like a strong offer. But if you can do more laser targeted email, kind of like what he was doing. And, in my program, I talk to our agencies about, different ways that you can do email. We talk about, mass cold email, but we also talk about more one-to-one. And I tell them, do a loom, create a 1 minute loom with you talking over the person's actual website. So they see you, they see their website, like they hear their actual name, and they hear their business name being said by you. So there's no doubt that this video was made for them. And you'll get, a much higher response rate than in most mass cold emails. They're going to be, a lot less that you can send out, obviously, because they take more time, but they can be a lot more effective in many ways.
Yeah, when I think about marketing and acquisition, I would always pick the um, more difficult, more expensive, but way higher value functions over, hey, this is cheap and I can get lots of it, but it doesn't really produce a lot of results. I think that's a
For
common,
sure. For
like,
sure. It's like buying leads versus, you know, a lead generation system that is more targeted. It's going to cost more, but more targeted.
for sure. In fact, I think some of our best leads have been exponentially more expensive, but they convert at such a higher rate. They buy so much such better things. It's not even a competition on what the actual cost per conversion is and the return on investment is. It's usually pretty
Totally.
silly. Cool. Okay. And so, do you have any other advice at this point for people that are agencies or freelancers, or things that you'd like to share with them? Just open ended.
Yeah. I mean, so for me personally, in my own growth story, I worked for a company that really, really did not value me and the work that I did back in 2015. And I knew that I was worth so much more. And I knew that you know, I could help so many more people and have such a bigger impact than just sitting in this office chair and only doing, marketing for this one little company. And I felt that in my gut, and I was really happy that I did follow my gut and started my own thing, even though at the time it felt really scary to do so. Like it felt like, everything that I've been taught since I grew up, like, you want your health insurance, you want that steady paycheck, and like the paycheck and the health insurance, that's security, right? And I learned really quickly that was not true. Like I started my company, had a really short, I had a really a short goal of I want to make double my income at the salary job in retainer clients. And once I hit that goal, then I felt confident enough to tell my boss what I was doing. And after I told my boss what I was doing, the worst case scenario was they say, you're fired and you can't do that here. And so I was prepared for them to fire me by having my double salary in retainers at that point. But it was my hope that they would retain me as my next client, essentially, and let me not work in the office anymore. So I went in with this big pitch of, you can pay me. This is my pitch. I thought it was actually really good. I said, you can pay me half of my salary, which was already really small, but you can pay me half of my salary in retainer form and get all of the work that I'm already providing you. So no benefits you have to pay. You keep half of my salary and you get all of my work. The only thing you have to give up is me sitting in that seat 9 to 5 every single day. And to me, it was like slam dunk. Like, there's no way that they can say no to this. It's an amazing offer.
It's a
This is,
rationalized pitch, not an emotional pitch. That's the
oh
problem.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And to me, I'm like, this makes so much sense. Like the numbers are amazing for them. It makes so much sense. Right. And this is pre COVID. Like this is like boomers run the world, and you're in the office, and that's just that. And if you're not sitting in the office, then you're not getting any work done. That's the mentality, right? And so I came in, I did my pitch or whatever, and my boss was offended. How dare I do anything with my time other than work for them? Like I'm being paid an entire $45,000 a year for this. I better respect their time, right? And so I'm sitting here listening to it, and so she ended up giving me an ultimatum at the end of it and saying, you can either stay here and work for us and give up So Be Viral, or you can, continue on with So Be Viral, and we'll part ways. And obviously, I I stayed with Soapy Viral, and I
Yeah. For
and I
those of you
walked
that are
out that
listening to
day.
audio, he motioned to his, ClickFunnels, two comma, I believe, right? Multiple
Yeah,
two comma.
yes, my 10 million award up there.
Yeah.
So I stayed with Soapy Viral, and I'll tell you, walking out of that office that day was probably one of the best days of my life. Like it just like felt like this huge, weight had been released off of me, and like I
Liberating,
had
right? I
just,
mean,
oh, it was
it's
amazing. It was amazing. Like it was like ecstasy. It was amazing. So I left there, and here's the best part of this whole story is 2 months later, just 2 months, I get a call from the other person that was in marketing at this little company, and she goes, "Tyler, you are not going to believe what just happened." I said, "What?" And she goes, "The owner who lived down in Brazil came in and told all 10 of us, there's only 10 employees at the time, that the company is closed, the everyone is laid off, and it turns out that the other owner was like embezzling money, and it was a giant like sham, and we were working in this like company that was like not real." And, and no one knew, all the way up to like the COO who had just got us into Target and just got us into CVS, into Walgreens, on shelves, everything. Like it just turned out, unplug, you're all fired. Sorry, bye. And I'm
wow.
just sitting here listening to this, and I'm going, oh my God, if I had stayed and gave up my clients and said, this is what I'm going to do, I would be like kicking myself. So,
Yeah.
my advice with this story is to follow your gut, because even when it seems like it might not be the right thing to do, or the opposite of what security may feel, if you are feeling driven to start your own business and do your own thing and take control of your own life, and your gut is telling you that, then it's the right path. Go do it.
That's such a wonderful story, man. I'm so glad that you shared it. And, one of these days we can have a chat because I have a kind of a similar story of, when you feel it, you feel it. It's like it's in your bones when you know that you're not doing the right thing or the right role, the right company at the right time. Like there's just something off, right? Like it's not in alignment with what you know you're capable of or what you feel your true calling is. And getting in alignment with that can be scary, right? I mean, like, for me was having to tell my, you know, 2 month girlfriend, now wife, but her dad, who's like been the same kind of doctor for his entire career, and telling him, "Hey, by the way, I quit my job, that has all those benefits to go,
Yeah.
you know, do work for a best-selling author and speaker, and maybe try to do my own thing for a while and see how it goes." And he recalls it differently, but he's, at the time, I felt like I was getting looked at like a total deadbeat, right? Like, what kind of idiot
Yeah.
makes these decisions? And
Yeah.
but you can feel it, and making that leap, while it can be scary, you really proved a point, right? Like, I'm glad that you pulled attention to it at the beginning of the story about the perceived security of a regular paycheck and health insurance. And
Right.
what is it's not really secure. It's sort of like we're lulled into this false sense of security oftentimes about, well, the same money shows up, every Friday, every other Friday, whatever interval it is. And
Yeah.
I've got health insurance if things really go wrong. But if things really go wrong, it's the business is unplugged and you're out of a job and you're starting over with no warning, and hopefully you have some savings, but the average American doesn't. So
Yeah.
really
I find
puts you
true
in.
security is having multiple clients all paying you, because the chances of all of your clients deciding on the same day to fire you are just like almost impossible. Like it's not going to happen. Now you may have one or two clients that decide to pull the plug on one day, but all of them, 100% of your income, no, it's not going to happen. That's why having multiple clients is way more security at the end of the day than having one job, because that one job is your one client. And everyone that worked at this company that I worked for thought that they were on a rocket ship to the moon, because they were dangling, like they were paying us nothing. Like I said, my whole $45,000 a year, they were dangling these carrots of, you're going to get stock options. We just got into Target. We just got into CVS. We just got into Walgreens. And, you guys are the first 10 people here at this company. We're not going to give you a raise, but we're going to give you stock options. And, the first 10 people at Facebook are now all millionaires, da, 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 like all these little carrots that they would dangle. Right. And so these people that stayed in this company, like they felt so secure and their future was so set. And then all it took was this guy to walk in the office that day and say, it's over.
Yeah, they didn't realize that the toilet paper in the bathroom was more valuable than the stock options.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, that's, I take that story as like, not only a reinforcement of sort of my own personal beliefs, but like hopefully people hear that and they realize like, take a real evaluation of like where they're at if they're in a normal job. And normal jobs are great. Like if it's a good fit for you and it's a good company and you enjoy what you're doing and you're well compensated, have at it. But I think so many people, especially in this sort of transition of generations, who's running the show, being more open to, is the value happening for me? Does they really have to be a W-2 employee sitting in one chair at one desk? Probably not. And then the uneasiness right now, you start hearing right now at this point in 2022, towards the end here about, hearing about the companies that were the rocket ships, right? The Facebooks, the Apples, the Amazons of the world are all saying, we're going to cool hiring. We're actually going to reduce some staff. We're going to make some decisions. It may be
Yeah.
a rocket ship. You just might not have a ticket for the ride.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. This has been awesome. I think that there's a lot of interesting things for people to think about, whether they're a freelancer or they're an agency looking to break through, or they're looking for that, to kick things off as sort of an initial, first sort of business opportunity, and not in like the, scammy work from home and, run Excel sheets, but like a true, like, I want to build a business, but I don't necessarily have all the pieces, and
Yeah.
giving them sort of a blueprint about what they can do on the next steps. If someone was interested in learning more about, what you brought up today, or getting more information or getting in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so the best way to do that is to go to sobeviral.com. So that's SOBEVIRAL.com. And on there, you're going to see, testimonials of clients that we've worked with and different, case studies. And then also there'll be an apply button on there. If you tap that apply button, it'll take you over to our funnel. There'll be lots of information about us and what we do. And if it seems like a good fit, go through that and we'll talk to you on the other side.
Awesome. Well, I definitely encourage people to do that, yeah, especially even if you already have an existing business and you're thinking about maybe bolting on some services, right? Because I think oftentimes there's good expansion opportunity about like, hey, I do this one thing really, really well, but I know that our customer also needs X, Y, and Z, right?
Yeah.
That's usually an interesting area to just basically bolt on revenue. And I
Yeah.
think it's awesome that because for me personally, like that would be my biggest question is, how do I get high quality people that are pre-vetted that I can basically white label and do. So that's an amazing service you offer, and that's certainly valuable. So go check it out, even if you have an existing business, or especially if you're one of the three categories you talked about. Thank you so much for your time, and looking forward to chatting soon.
Thank you.